it starts.
Don't look at me in that tone of voice.
Yeah.
If you run out of things to say, just bully Joss. That's
Yeah,
like our
that's what I
go-to.
do. Yeah.
I'll take it.
He's an easy target.
Okay. This is episode number.
What episode is this?
10?
No way.
What?
You've done more than 10. Where the fuck
18,
did you-
bro.
Who knows? I don't know.
18.
Yeah, this is like
Actually,
18.
Is it 18? What was yesterday?
17, clearly.
Yeah, that's definitely the
Yeah, but I
number
don't know
that
if you
comes
considered
before.
that. I don't know if you
He
consider we
coded
have
an
one
app
of the...
and he can't even count.
Okay, bully me again.
Yeah.
We were bullying Josh.
Okay, app
Okay.
coding, app coding.
Who
This
are
is what
you?
it's about.
And how did you get your...
Sure. So I'm Harley Ferguson,
Yeah.
and I'm a software developer, CEO of a company called Origen Software. How did I get here is I've been doing some work with you guys for the past couple of months. We're helping you guys build the Howie app and the whole platform and everything else that's coming along the way.
That
Very
is
cool.
I
and
didn't
if
actually
you-
know that until like quite recently. You were just like the guy in the dark doing all the hard work. you
Yeah, of course.
What?
I'm giving him some credit, guys. Come on.
Oh.
Making him feel
And
good.
Jason, who's Jace?
Jace.
Doing all the hard work in the light.
In the light.
He's taking all the credit.
Yeah.
Taking all
I'm the
the
face of the
credit.
operation, that's it.
Yeah.
I actually don't know
You
what
are
I'm doing.
just a pretty
Yeah,
face.
I just got a MacBook, that's all I can do. I just sit there with the MacBook and everyone's like, well done.
Yeah, no, I was
Good.
mentioned a couple of podcasts ago. Jason was like, yeah, we mentioned your latest podcast. I was like, oh shit, like let's listen. And it's like, yo, we have this developer in Cape Town.
And that was it.
I'm like, cool, thanks for the shout out.
You say Harley and no one's going to know. Everyone's going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
it means nothing.
This developer in
I mean,
Cape
yeah,
Town.
now that we're a bit more established, I guess. But yeah, it was just, there's this developer in Cape Town. He's really good.
This is the developer in Cape Town. We've
can I
come full
start?
circle. Yeah.
I've
This
got a
is
question.
the guy.
I know the least about coding, so I'm going to start. I want to know what in your life made you choose this career path. What was it?
Yeah,
moment?
good question. I think like most, I guess probably like 60 to 70% of developers, it was I like computers and I like gaming, and it was like that became like a career option. But the most important thing is that I'm
It's the money.
And the woman.
It's the money.
Yeah, you get into coding for the bitches. Yeah. No, it was I'm what you call a lot lamaki. I got two older sisters by 10 and 13 years. Yeah, my older sister got married when I was 11. And her husband, so my now brother-in-law, was also a software engineer. So I'm 9 years old and I see him with like 2-3 monitors, all of these like cool stuff on his screen, and he has like a cool car and gets to like, I don't know, just has like the best computer. So at the time, like, okay, like what are you doing type of thing. And then, yeah, he kind of just gave me when I was like 11. So like just learned how to read. Maybe that math doesn't check out.
Reading but not math.
A, B, C, and coding.
Pretty much. And yeah, so he gave me a couple like ebooks that I started going through, and just kind of got the bug then, did it in school, studied afterwards. I was always messing around. I think I'm just self-taught, but also happened to study it.
Did it intrigue you a lot when you were younger? Did you?
Yeah, no, it's the weirdest thing. I think you either get it or you don't, where you write like a simple function that takes in 2 numbers and it will like log to the console, which is something no one sees, and you go like 2 + 2 and it says 4. You're like, shit, that's fucking cool. Sorry, no, I can't swear, right? Yeah. And yeah, you either get that or you don't, and if you do, like you're in the right career and you're gonna have some fun. Because I've always said it's just glorified problem solving. That people come to you with problems and they just don't have the tools or the know-how to do it. So your whole job is to just figure out those tools and then solve the problem.
Yeah. Okay. Wild.
That's why Jason learned it so well, is because he just solves everyone's problems. Whenever I lose something in this house, Jason ends up... I like shout, where's this? And next thing he's in my cupboard trying to find it for me.
I must say,
I
I must say, because you guys did mention it. You mentioned it a couple of times because I've also obviously I'm a fan and I watched your show. But you've mentioned Jason's like
I'll take it.
his work ethic, and besides the work ethic, like anyone can have a really fucking good work ethic, right? Just put in the time and put in like hard work. But I work with a lot of developers, and shit, the amount of time that you've been doing this compared to your skill set is ridiculous. Like so many people have been doing this for years and don't hold a candle to you.
We already
Appreciate
broke
that.
one headset.
Yeah,
This is gonna
appreciate
just snap.
Go on.
His head's gonna blow up real good.
So yeah, like whatever he's touching is turned to gold. So just keep him on the roller coaster as long as possible.
Keep him
Keep
on the
feeding
payroll.
his ego,
Yeah.
That's why you're here, Harley.
Yeah.
Hype him up.
Yeah, no, he messaged me
Go.
beforehand. He was like, just like, remember to talk about me and stuff, right? And I'm like,
Mark thinks you're being serious. It did not happen.
I'm your guest,
I
Jason.
would never think that's it.
I was like, I'm your guest, but he's like, yeah, no, just talk about me though.
Yeah,
Please.
mostly me.
no one
please.
believes me.
Yeah.
I always tell them, I show them the computer, they're like, oh, that's not that interesting. I'm like, "Oh, no. Now we got someone on here.
Okay, I got another question.
Yes.
So, what are some of the things that helped you change your perspective, either for the good or the bad, later on in your career of coding? What are some things that either made you say, I didn't expect this and it turned out greater than what you imagined, or what are some downsides to it? I want to know the pros and cons here of coding.
I think with coding, yeah, kind of like you guys said, the money's decent, right? But it's the tech industry is growing so fast. So the evaluations of tech companies is crazy. So you see a lot of people like with starting salaries that are just more than they ever thought they would get. I never got into it for the money. I kind of stumbled into I just knew I wanted to go into code. But in terms of the ups and downs, I think it's definitely people. That coding is not, or software development is not the stereotypical guy sitting in his mom's basement with a hoodie on, ordering pizza at 1 a.m. with a bunch of monsters. Like that
It's
happens.
on podcasts in denim jackets, rocking a barely sized SUV, putting his head on the way in.
Yeah, there's no stereotype anymore. It can be anyone and everyone. I think that's also the beautiful thing about it. And in that, there's pros and cons because you're going to work with a variety of different people. And the pros of that, you can be working with people internationally at the drop of a hat because it's such a remote thing. It's such a just if you have a laptop, you can literally change the world with whatever you're going to build. But yeah, with people, there's pros and cons. So it's about finding the right people to work with, the right team, the guys with the right mentality to be around.
How difficult was it to find the right team?
Well, you only just found
Oh
it
yeah,
now.
you only just recently. So that's perfect. So
It's
run us through what that experience has been like for you.
So yeah, I've worked at a couple of different companies. I'm involved with another company called Harley Software. It's a pretty big consultancy. And with being a consultancy instead of a product, right? So by product, I mean like Uber or Facebook, where their dev team is just building that product for them. Basically, Howie type of thing. A consultancy is you work with a bunch of different companies that come to you and
There's
say,
a problem there. There's a problem there. Like
yeah,
you guys,
can you solve
those.
this? Can you hop in and just give us extra short-term muscle? Can you build this from scratch? That type of thing. So you actually overlap with a lot more people and a lot more scenarios, so you learn pretty quick. In terms of building my own team, so I co-founded Origen Software with a mate of mine called Jonathan. He unfortunately couldn't make it today, but him and I we went to school together since we were 7, and we've been mates since we were like 10. So it's just been awkward delay. Have fun.
Hey,
Ed.
Brad.
I think that was another guest just trying to get their shot.
Please get me
Sorry,
on. Yeah.
my time's up. Thanks, guys.
Episode 19.
Yeah, you record like 10 a day. Just go
Flows
through
across
it.
the screen and the
things
next
on.
guest is there.
You just got to get wheelie chairs to make it a smoother process.
Yeah, he just rolls it. Or he pops out from under and you sneak in slowly.
So you and Jonathan met how long ago? Shout out Jonathan.
Yeah. Shout out Jonathan. Really good coder as well.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're specialists, and we like to think that we're as industry leading in our approach, but yeah, not to blow smoke up our own asses.
No, we do enough of that.
So we were in school together, primary through high school. In high school is when we kind of became really close, and we ended up studying together. We kind of our first year after school, we went to a place called CTI, a private college. We did a 1 year kind of high certificate there. Jonathan at the end of that was like, I want to go into the working world. He's not one for schooling. He was like, okay, I just want to get out there and start working. He went to go work.
How did you guys like being with someone like that? Like me being around Jace, all we want to do is get going on what we talk about. You know what I mean? How do you go just sit and work after that? Like now you know what starting a business is like. And I know you get a lot of experience from work. Like you probably wouldn't be able to do what you're doing now unless you did like the consultancy and all of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But like for me as a person, like if I'm with my best friend and we're doing the same thing, all I want to do is start something ourselves right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Together.
100%. And I think that's the thing, is that myself and Jonathan, when we were 19, like first year out, we're like, you know, one day we should start our own thing. It would be amazing. But we've got no work experience. We don't know what the industry is like, that type of thing. And, you know, after a couple of years, I think 2018, I remember very specifically him and myself just going for a drive just around in Cape Town, the Durbanville Hills. It's just like a very scenic drive, and we both just enjoy like the simplicity and just driving around and thinking and having a conversation. And yeah, we kind of started like fleshing out the idea of what we would do, what type of company we would want, type of thing. And earlier this year, the opportunity kind of arose. There was interest in us, and we thought we could kind of jump at the chance. And yeah, it was a very full circle moment, because I was going with the start of the year, I was chatting to him. He was like, "Dude, we should do it." And I'm the skeptic.
You're nervous to make the move.
Yeah, I was nervous. I just, myself and my girlfriend, we just bought a house, so it's like there's a risk factor here. I'm like,
but like one thing Jason and I learned, like what I say now is like fucking learn coding in South Africa.
Yeah,
because
it's so limited.
It's lacking huge amount. Like, you know,
demand is so high and supply is nowhere.
You know, like us starting Howya, we've been approached by like 10 people minimum in the last year to say, how do I get an app done?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's very expensive, trying to like steer them away if they don't have, they got to understand how much it costs. They're like, no, like I have the funds. I just want to get this app done.
Yeah.
And now Jason's just learned to code in a year and a half. And let's say he really committed. He wasn't doing Howya. Let's just say, Jace could probably in the next year be able to code an app himself and get like 2 other people on his same page to say like, let's start a company. And I mean, if he just said yes to all 10 of those people, he's making himself like 500 grand a month.
Yeah, no, you've touched on an amazing point there, that South Africa is, and I've said this to software development, South Africa is like what India is to call centers, is that we're actually really fucking good, and we're a third to a quarter of the price of like UK and Europe.
Yeah,
and also
the hourlies are like a tenth of the price.
And the thing is, English is really good here. We can communicate well. We're effective in that capacity. Time zone, if you're in Europe and you're looking for like people in the same time zone, so we often get calls from like, we've got UK clients,
like
we've got Swiss
the UK
clients,
guys,
exactly, and they're like, look, we're going to be upfront here. We're looking to get like a third of our cost, and they end up still being more than like.
And you're happy as hell.
Exactly, more than the average SA rate, right?
100%.
So everyone kind of wins in that capacity. So definitely, if you're wondering what to do and you have even the slightest interest in code, go into it. I don't even think
wondering, like if you just want to make money and you actually want to do something that can change and create something big, like Jace is your prime example. You can learn code in a year and a half if you dedicate it. If that's like, if you say, I want to make myself 200 grand a month, and you invested 2 years of your life, you could actually do it.
Definitely.
No doubt, South Africa, you will. Yeah. And if people know you can, you're going to be that central hub where everyone's asking, hey, can you go to app? Can you go to app? And there we go.
Yeah, you do get to the point where you tell people you're a software developer and they go, okay, well, I've got an idea. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
That's the worst. That's why I always say, listen, you should say, put a mill behind your idea. Don't come with the idea. I don't want to know the idea.
How much do you believe in your idea?
Yeah, it's the money, because everyone has a fucking app idea. Everyone has. Like,
literally.
Everyone sat there, they're like,
imagine this.
What's your app idea,
really
Harley?
Cool. Yo, what's your app idea?
What's your app idea?
I don't know.
Not enough
you must have
NDAs.
there's not enough NDAs for this list.
But I think in South Africa, what I've come to realize, and it might be a global issue, but there's an acute lack of self-awareness in the industry. And what I mean by that is people either think they're much better than they are, or they don't think they're good enough.
Imposter syndrome, they can't actually, equate a value to their time.
Exactly that. Or they don't want to work with people because they think, okay, this guy's not as good as I am. And in problem solving, you can take route A or route B and you get to the same conclusion. It's not to say one is objectively better than the other. It's just a different approach. And people will say, oh, no, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And they won't want to work with other people. Or the alternative is they'll say, oh, I'm not good enough. We're not doing any, they don't do anything with that. So And I don't know if it's because the industry itself is very detracted from society almost. So a lot of people don't know about development, don't know about coding. It's not like a business where someone has like a basic understanding. People are just like,
yo,
they
like
think
our
anything
friend
can
group,
happen.
like, you know, a friend that wants to be a this, wants to be a that, but our friend group doesn't know someone in coding. You know what I mean? Not one person. I actually don't know one person that studied any kind of, except Jace. But I mean, he did it out of like necessity.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't know anyone. It's because like when you start going into that, you kind of go into your own little hub, you know? And it's like, you know, your mates probably all code.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Probably 90% of them. Right?
Yeah.
So you like go into your own, it's like engineering. Like I don't know an engineer right off the bat. You know what I mean? You go into like your own little hub. So you do like detach a bit from like what's going on. And that's why the ideas sometimes have to come from the everyday human to be brought to like the people that can actually make it happen.
Definitely.
But you've got like your foot on both sides. Like you, that's what I think makes your business, what's going to make it a lot different.
It's the interpersonal skills.
You've like when Jason and I started talking to you, when we had the call, I was just expecting like, oh, we've been through this. Like, I don't know how we're going to work. But like when we chatted, it's like you're talking to like a mate that can fucking build an app, which is, I think, it's going to take you a lot further than like most app developers. Normally, like the CEO of the company probably doesn't know much about app development. He's just running the business side while the app developers are doing their jobs, you know? And you have like worked your way through that and realized I'm not like a puzzle piece. I'm like running the puzzle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're touching on so many good points and kind of why we wanted to build a company and what kind of company we wanted to be, right?
Because you're built different. I'm built different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 6'11", of course. I'm fucking
okay, besides that, if I had a hoop here, I would make you shoot the shot, and I would ask the question: your shoe size, does it actually correlate to your
the pick? I'm gonna cut you off. The default, like, I mean, I've been in a relationship for 9 years, so I haven't had to really do the.
He's
single,
asking
the
if you hung
life.
well.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting to it.
Your knee, or does the knee go further than most people?
If I were single and like I was in like the club life, it would just be like the pickup line would be it's proportional.
Oh no!
Like, you don't have to be as direct as Mike.
Yeah, it's proportional, baby.
Subtle. The socks.
Okay, another question I've got. What are some obstacles that you've had to overcome? What are some of the biggest obstacles? Even mentally, like like thinking that you can't finish this project, you can't figure a solution out for this.
I think both of them tie into delivery. So I think a lot of consultancies, a lot of even product teams, just development in general. Development is not like building a house where it's been done for so many years and you go, okay, cool, this is what you want to build. We've done that hundreds of times, right? Development's so often, every single app, every single website, every single solution has its own nuances. So it's when you come to someone, you say, how long is this going to take you? And they go, okay, 6 months. That's like a really rough estimate. And so many companies miss the mark. They go, okay, cool, actually it's going to take us 8 months type of thing. And I think having seen that, being a part of that, the human in me fucking hates that because like you're letting people down. At least I want to have clients, and Origen wants to have clients that are long term. We don't want to have the client. We're like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll do this 6 months. Takes us 8. They're pissed because they paid extra and they leave type of thing.
And do you know what happens is if you say yours, like let's say you want to be the guy who says 12 months and you deliver it in 8, and you like under promise over deliver kind of thing, then the other company down the road is saying they can do it in 6 and then ends up fucking them over. But they still went with that client.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they promised and under-delivered, but they still got the job and they still get paid.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's that, like finding a balance between being honest and still getting the clients. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, I'll touch on that afterwards, but maybe to go back to your question is that taxes you mentally because it is a wave, right? Productivity is a wave that you're going to have a couple of really good days, a couple of really good weeks, and then you're going to hit a slump. And your personal life is you should only be juggling so many balls at a time, and you can't tell what's going to happen. And you go, okay, this will take us 6 months, but freaking someone gets COVID or someone has something go wrong. that's a span in your works. And I think just burnout is super common in this industry because often people who don't know code or don't know how long a feature is going to take to build, they're the ones saying the timelines. And that's a super unhealthy relationship. If you have marketing or branding saying, okay, cool, guys, we promised our clients or our consumers, whoever's using their product, something's going to be out in 6 months before you've spoken to your dev team. That's just an unhealthy environment.
Did you start off like you were promising them that the timeline was going to be done in 6 months and you realized that you had to be a bit more generous with the timeline?
Yeah, so it's not in Origen specifically, but you just see it happen all the time where companies go, this is going to take us 6 and it ends up taking longer. It's a common trend. I've spoken to a bunch of different companies and ranging from other consultancies to just companies that we want to work with. And I say, what is if Origen's the first thought that you have when you think we want code done, I'm like, what is the thing we need to provide you? And they say just deliver. And on our podcast recently, plug to the Agile CTO, we spoke about high performance because high performance is something that we want to identify as, but we ended up coming to like the industry. If you just say it's going to take you 4 months and you deliver in 4 months, like that is high performance.
Yeah.
And that doesn't sit well with me because that's actually just doing the job you're meant to do. And the other problem that you see with this kind of model is that if people say it's going to, there's the whole agile approach, which is basically a short feedback loop approach to software development, where instead of being a waterfall, you can pivot and you can change, because that often happens, right? You guys go, okay, cool. We thought this is what people wanted. They don't want that. Scratch that. We're going to do something else. So it allows for that flexibility. But then companies also build in that approach. So they say, okay, it's going to take us 6 months. Something happens. They go, it's going to take us an extra 2. Pay up, right? And that's a scenario where then the client's like, okay, but I don't want to work with you anymore because you can't deliver on time. And then a lot of consultancies are fine for that because they go, okay, cool, we'll just find the next client and have them pay. But it's so much like effort to sign a new client, and you put in times that relationship.
And you're restarting again.
And it's
when
starting
you were
again.
halfway through something, your team's working well.
And yeah, if you're in it, like you say, I enjoy the relationship aspect. I enjoy the people aspect. So I'm investing my emotions into these things as well. So to see if I'm ever in a scenario where someone leaves, that fucking sucks. So we go with a completely different approach to building, whereas we go value based. So we go, okay, cool, we say it's going to take us 3 months. This is how much, like this is our quote, this is how much we think it's going to cost. If it takes us 4 or 5, we don't charge extra for that because we agreed that it should be done. It should be done.
That's how much the project costs.
Yeah, that's how much it costs. We basically come up with a bunch of requirements. So we say, like, these are all the features that you're wanting. Sign this, and they go, yeah, okay, cool, that's good. And if then a month, 6 weeks down the line, there's a whole bunch of different things now. We go, okay, now we need to have a conversation because stuff has changed. But if it's the same stuff and a company's run 2 months late, like what the hell? That client should never be paying for that. And it's so logical. But because so many people don't understand software, like you were saying, people just don't get software, and they go, okay, I just need you to build an app, and they go, yep, you got to pay though. Like people can't say no because they don't understand, right? And that you just create an unhealthy work relationship between the two, and that's what we try to do, and that's why we've specialized. We very much.
But it should be like that because every other industry works like that. Like if you're paying to get like a house built, it doesn't come without the roof, and them saying, well, the roof's going to take 6 months longer, like now it's going to cost more. You know what I mean? Like if you're paying for a complete house, the house is complete.
But it's exactly like Jay said, that people understand a house, or they understand basic business, but they go software, I've got no clue what that is. This guy must be saying for a reason type of thing, and I'll pay.
Okay.
Like I had no idea until Mark and Jace had mentioned it to me, that I thought that once you've built an app, like it runs, that's it. But I didn't realize.
So we're talking about the maintenance. We are talking about the maintenance.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, we had to explain to him, like, if 1,000 users come on and like you're expecting 100, the app's not built for 1,000 yet. Like you've just got a functioning app. Like Jace the other day realized, like, it's not used to having 100 people attending one event, and it's taking up a lot of like
it's just data.
It's just trying to load it all at once. And now I'm thinking, like, imagine we went and promised the ticketing event 1,000 people join, and now it's loading 1,000 profiles at once, and the app crashes. Like, you need a team to constantly be aware of these things to be able to alter.
I got a bone to pick
before
with you coders about this. Okay, when you're paying for an app, why does it not just function? Explain what the technological.
No, wait. Let me explain it from your. Before we get into the technical, I'm explaining from a logical, like, untechnical point of view.
Why'd your car break down?
Which is the app.
Because the fucking guy didn't fix it properly.
No, because the
They
app.
didn't build it properly.
Listen to this. Okay, so the app is built.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a structure. All we
Yeah.
wanted was an app that people could host and join their events. We never said
What
we want an
volume it's
app
gonna run and-
that wants 1,000 users on at once, and we had all these little levels. If we
Yeah.
had all of those, and they probably would have charged more right off the bat.
Yeah.
But we just said we wanted an app that people can attend and create an event. That was the baseline, right? There was no specifications involved in that. So, like, if those things start happening, which we could, if we predicted it 6 months ago what it would require, then we'd really have known the market already. But no one knows what it's going to require until it's in the market.
And this applies to
So
all
you get
apps.
a baseline. Yeah.
Everything. The thing is, as well, you don't want to. So you can safeguard everything, right? But your time is maybe not best spent safeguarding something that's not going to get pressured.
Imagine you had a spa. Imagine you went and bought a spa and you stocked it just with full of carrots, right? Because you thought everyone's going to buy carrots. You go and spend millions on the carrots, right? And now no one buys your carrots. You bought like 6 cabbages, right? But everyone wants the cabbages. Now you've wasted all your money on carrots. You know what I mean?
I'd start selling bunnies.
You need to know what the people want first.
There's far
so
out of-
like that changes like your whole rollout.
That's the agile approach, because you can't.
There
If
we
you
go.
sink 100% into one thing and then everyone goes that way, you properly screwed. So you sort of want to give what they would call like an MVP or like a basic thing and say, okay, this is where users are really gravitating. Put focus there, make sure that that's refined, and then you move like that. But there's never a foolproof plan. Things fall over for the sake of falling over.
Now
The
go
same way-
technical, Harley. Go deep.
The same way laptops will crash, like a MacBook, which is from Apple, which is one of the biggest companies in the world, their software will just randomly crash, and they won't know why.
And where does the fault lie in that?
There can be faults in the hardware. There can
Where
be
does the fault lie?
Apple.
Could it be anything?
It could.
Is there so many variables that could?
Yeah.
So yeah, with cloud and with internet and with scalability, that's generally where it goes wrong. Sometimes something just goes down in Europe and it causes your whole app in South Africa to crash.
Really? Okay.
I think the best way to describe it is if you say, hey, can I have some water or something? And I give you a 2 liter and you're like, wait, no, I just wanted like a glass or something, right? I've overcated and you don't need all that excess. And that's what Jason means by like an MVP, a minimum viable product, that you go, okay, I just want that glass. And then you go, okay, actually, like I'm wanting more as you go along type of thing. But in terms of why, I think your question is like, why off the bat is it not
Still like stable.
So I mean, quality of developers, if the basic MVP isn't
quality
stable.
of code is
100%.
one thing.
But that's
Yeah.
for the basic. Like once the basics are up, you don't know what direction
It's
you're
also
going to go.
more
Like
than-
we didn't know if we like in the beginning we thought subscription was going to be our thing, and it eventually turned into ticketing. You know what I mean? And if we put all our focus in that direction, we might never have got to this direction. We would have like been so like boxed in, that we would not have seen like the bigger things. And then all our money is in something we may not want to use.
Yeah.
So the key is to just get that. We spoke about it the other day. Like just get that minimum thing out there. Let people guide it a bit, because like even with designing a logo, like I tried to design a logo. Jordy's like, my girlfriend, she does graphic design. She
Yeah.
was like, that's not what people want to see. I asked a few people. I thought it was the best thing ever. They
She
didn't
actually
want to
said it's
see that.
shit.
Yeah.
Just
She
trying
said
to
it's
make it
shit.
She left him.
Design a
Put
new
the
line.
bags out on the road. Yeah, but I mean, it's like that. You think you know what people want, and you got this amazing idea. But once you get that baseline, then you let people guide it, and then you know where to put your money, and then it's never wasted.
It's also
not 1 cent. You
It's
know
more
what I
than
mean?
that though. So you're talking about the scale of projects, right? A small thing you can make sure it's perfect. When you're going into huge platforms where there's so many avenues, you have to have different teams working on different things, right? So someone could be writing a whole code for one feature here, but that has to integrate across everything. And if one thing goes slightly different here, it might work in their isolation, but the minute it has to integrate here, now there's a slight bit of a problem
Got
because
it.
no one thought that would happen. Or even if there's user input, it's even worse, because who knows what people might do. People are absolute morons for the most part. And you think, when you build it, you're like, oh, this is the way normal people would use the
Talking
app.
to you, listener.
Yeah, I'm talking to myself.
Talking to you at home.
So you're like, oh, this is the way people would use the app.
Like and
then
subscribe.
They go, yeah. Do it first.
Smash
before.
that like button.
And then they'll do something stupid, and you're like, but why did you do that? But you have to cater for the fact that someone might do that, because everyone's different. So you've made sure it works perfectly this way. They go using that way, and you're like, oh, that's weird. It's very strange. Like, why did you make your name that? Why did you try to put an emoji in your name? Like, I found that out the other day. There's different types of text, what would you call it? Like formattings that have different bytecodes so that you can have normal text or emojis. And And if you don't cater for one, it just will not work.
Or like that night mode problem or dark mode, whatever, where the whole app didn't work because your phone was in dark mode. Yeah. And like I was like, how do you even get to that to know that unless you were in like dark mode? If you could code a whole app in your room because your phone's not in that mode and think the app is fully functional, and then someone goes and uses it on that. Or like imagine your phone's on silent, and because it's on silent, you don't get notifications. You'd never know because your phone's on loud. So like it only comes from everyone using it. That's why you need that team constantly checking for problems, checking for feedback from users. Because everyone's got their phone on different settings, or got their phone. Like my mom had her icons enlarged, and she couldn't click the next button because the icon covered the next button. And like everyone else would have said this app is hundreds, and then everyone like maybe they have glasses and they need bigger icons would say the app doesn't work, they can't click the next button. So it's things like that come up as users. You'd never know in the beginning. It's a fully app on your phone, but then someone else uses it slightly different settings, and then gone. I see.
Well, thanks for enlightening me on that. I mean, I just
need some water. I'm not running away.
I did want to be enlightened on it because I didn't understand exactly what
I think
went on behind the scenes for maintenance on applications.
It's important to understand that though, because most people will see software developers as a particular type of person.
And like once their job is done, it's done.
But that they're rigid, right? And I'm the worst person because I am rigid. But to be a software dev, you have to be so flexible. You have to be very, very creative. And I know some people might not see it as a creative industry, but to be flexible and to work around and to solve problems in such creative ways, like the way people will go around fixing an issue, because you have to think 3-4 things down the line, because you can't just solve this little thing. It has to integrate with that and that and that.
It's going to impact elsewhere. Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is the creativity and flexibility behind this type of industry is incredible. Like it is. It's an art in and of itself. You know, it's different to your art, but it's still an art.
No, 100%. Have you ever woken up and say, I want to quit coding? Because I can tell you now, I quit music every day.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I quit music every day. Like, there's always a day where there's like something that happens and you're just like, this is not going the way I planned it to. Have you ever had a day where you're like, damn, this is a lot for me? Because I mean, the workload is intensive. I know
workload is crazy.
Workload is crazy, yeah.
I've never wanted to quit.
Do you think the passion pulls you through?
It is... if you subscribe to like the multiverse theory, right, where every possible decision you made spins up a new timeline, I'm convinced my life, both from like a personal, but I guess in this case,
it had to happen.
A career aspect, like I'm in the 99th percentile of stuff that could have gone well. I've never wanted to quit. There are days when it's I just don't want to quit. I don't have the motivation.
So it's your perspective that helps.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like there's the whole triangle of motivation, inspiration, action, right? Most of the time you're not going to find motivation and inspiration. So you just go sit down, just try and do it. And then it's, oh shit, it just keeps going. There've been times where, you know, I've not enjoyed the team, I've not enjoyed the scenario or the client or that type of thing.
External kind of things.
Yeah, I'm working with this one client right now, a bunch of like kids.
Looks at us.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
You're 25.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Kids.
You bought a house, you got a girlflriend, a denim jacket. Can you still code it? I thought coding was just running around the computer, people. Look at it.
Yeah.
Mini SUV.
It's got the works. Proportional.
Not much, but I mean, it gets you from A to B.
I shouldn't have told you about that.
I was just picturing it. I need to see it now.
Are we on different topics?
Mark's still on the SUV. We're talking about
how he's young. Mark, we're talking about how he's young. Yeah.
And Mark goes,
you don't want to see that.
Get you from A to B.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I need to see it to believe it.
He's just curious now, you know?
I need to see it.
I don't like competition.
I mean, like I said, I promote a healthy working relationship. Like we're moving a bit faster. But no, never wanted to quit.
Someone wanting to start coding. What would you tell them right now? What would you tell them if all the things that you've learned, the things that you've learned, what to do, what not to do? What would you tell them if they said, "I want to get involved in coding"? Give them some advice on what to do.
Buy a good laptop.
Not even.
Buy a good laptop.
No, Jason, you did it on a MacBook Air.
Yeah, and look at how many grey hairs I've
What
got.
would set them apart? What would set them apart from anybody else who didn't get that advice?
I think there are two great questions there. So the first one is that literally just Google learn how to code, and you will come across Free Code Camp. You'll come across Code Academy. You can even get apps on your phone that are going to teach you how to code, and they're going to teach you the basics. I think anyone can code. It's about the efficiency and effectiveness that comes with time and a certain approach, right? Like
some people's brains are just built for problem solving. Like Jason is, he might not, like, as you've seen, the code might not look neat, but it can always get it done. It's because code is just like, here's point A and point B, how am I going to get there? And like you could probably do 1,000 lines that could get you there, and it could get the job done, but you could also do one line that gets you there. You know what I mean? And Jason, you have to be good at problem solving, and you could probably learn like the very basics of code and still do that same job. You know what I mean? And that's what Jason did in the beginning. Was the job was still being done, but then that's where like I think like a natural problem solving comes from. Is like
definitely. I think in terms of what will separate out and make you the best possible coder that you can be, I think that touches on that. Like I said, anyone with a laptop can start coding now, and because it's a financially elevated career, it's attracting a lot of attention. So you do have a lot of people who just decide to, okay, cool, I'm going to go code, and they get into the industry. So that's where you do touch on not bad devs or bad teams, but they're just in it's a job to them. It's not a career. There's no passion to push it further, be the best they can be, contribute to open source, all that type of stuff. I think the most important thing is to constantly be learning. It is this stuff changes daily. Like I can't tell you, since like the initial how you commit right to the app, so much has changed, and you go like it's tough because you go, do we implement these changes? Do we not? But literally there are all the biggest front end frameworks. So by framework, for I guess for you and for you, is just a collection of tools that allow you to build an app, right? So you have React, which is a Facebook, and Angular, which is Google, and that type of stuff. Those things are less than 10 years old, and 90% of like all modern single page applications out there are using them. And if you go and
That's you, Harley.
I think I said Google at some point.
Oh yeah.
They're listening. We fucked.
They're always
nice podcast, boy.
we love Google. Great.
So what language would you suggest? What language would you suggest?
Constantly learning.
Like if I had to say like, hey, I want to learn something that's going to let me do the
JavaScript. Hands down.
Why?
JavaScript
most ubiquitous.
Is very easy to understand in comparison to like a Scala or C# or Python. A lot of the other languages have a bit more overhead. JavaScript, you can write one line of code and you can have a basic method that's adding two numbers together, but it is everywhere. Nearly every website out there is using JavaScript. So it is a bit biased because we're front end specialists, so we focus on apps and websites. So JavaScript is all over the place. But if you learn JavaScript, it means you can learn React, you can learn Angular, you can learn Vue, Svelte, Ionic, and you will find a job. You will find you'll be able to build
Node
front
as
end.
well, like everyone knows what.
No, you can do front end and back end with it. It's not just specific.
So
what's
no one
open
knows
source?
that, Chase.
Explain open source. I've got an idea of what it is, but explain it.
Open source is an amazing just thing to be a part of. It is sharing your code or your app or your tools publicly that everyone can go and contribute. So it's kind of like if code is like writing a book, you say, okay, guys, this is like the draft I have. And then people can just read it and go, actually, I want to make this suggestion. Do you like that suggestion? You go, yeah, that makes it better. Cool, accept it. And now it's part of like the main draft. Where do you find these people?
On forums, on online communities?
They'll have their repositories everywhere.
So there is but repository meaning like a project. So all
it's not a suppository.
Okay. You found that in one place.
I didn't think I was going to get it.
How do you guys get through a podcast with this guy? So a repository is all the collection of like folders and files that make up a particular project. And the main one is called GitHub, which is a social media for that, where you can go, here's my profile, and I can create a bunch of like posts, which are repositories, not suppositories. And then everyone can see those files, and they can go, oh, okay, cool, I'll see how he's doing this, and they can make suggestions or changes, or they can.
But they can also grab your code.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You are
letting people
you are
see how
you're
did
making,
something.
but there's a whole bunch of different licenses that you can do. Like there's the standard, like the MIT license, which is an approach that MIT came up with, and most people do that, where it says you can use this code, but you can't try and like sell it or something. And if you do, you need to let me know.
But what if you used just a part of it to help a button in your app, or like
That's fine, but you're not selling it off.
Yeah,
you're not selling it off.
you're not saying this code is mine.
Yeah.
Right. So like how any app out there is relying heavily on a bunch of open source stuff, like React, which is the framework powering like 70% of front end applications, including Howya, is Facebook owned but open source that anyone. So it's got like 2,000 contributors that people go from writing hundreds of lines of code to like, I saw like this thing was spelt wrong, and they quickly get in there. Now they're listed as a contributor type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I got one more good question, and then I'll shut the fuck up. Okay.
No, I'm liking your question.
For somebody wanting to go and get an app developed, what are some of the qualities they should look for in someone who's coding, and what are some of the qualities they should stand back from?
These are some good questions. I like them.
It's good.
I wish you asked these before I looked for a developer.
I mean,
I think we could probably answer.
They
this
could
better.
answer that. So I would love to hear your guys' answers.
I think for me, it
From
would
your
be
side.
it would be not being so stuck up. I think a lot of developers really think that they are the best developers out there, and they will not take criticism, and they will not like to work with anyone else's work, and they wouldn't be so accepting, for example, of me getting stuck in when I don't know anything.
Very true. Yeah.
And having that type
They
of
like to
relationship,
take control.
Yeah.
Like they want it to be theirs. Like don't have that.
yeah, and that will set you back, because if you have a suggestion that could save you time, and they're like, oh, this guy's trying to do what I'm trying to do, they'll put that out there and then work 4 months longer just to prove a point. And I think a lot of them have that issue. Like a lot of developers are like that, which is understandable because they want it to be their thing. But
it's not their.
That is
they got to
toxic.
understand you're paying someone. Like this is why I think we got along with Harley so well. Is you are paying them to do your job. They aren't. I mean, you working with us, that's a different relationship because we work so well. But I'm saying if you go to an app development company, the first thing you got to understand is it's not their app. You are paying them for your app.
Yeah.
So I know they like to treat, like, I'm sure it's like your project, but I mean, it is yours. And if you have ways to make things get done faster, or they're not doing something right, it is your job to say, like, this is the right, like, I want this done. You know what I mean? You are paying.
Yeah.
And like the one thing, like Holly never talked like he was smarter than us. It was always like, I'm excited to work with you. And there was never like, why don't you get this, or why don't you understand?
So stay away from
It
coders
was
with
like,
an ego.
yeah. And like the guys like we first worked with in Oz, it was like they didn't know what they're doing, but they still spoke like they knew more than most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
remember
we wouldn't get this.
Yeah.
And Jason knew more than them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that kind of attitude. And we've had both sides of the coin now, which is like a real relationship, a real working relationship with someone who sees the end goal. And it's like our project instead of your project that we pay you to work on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think ownership is something I've struggled with as well, right? Because the other side of it is I'm putting in 160 hours a month, you know, on this for the 6 months, and then suddenly you go, oh, I want to change feature X, and you go, oh, fuck, I just spent 2 months building that.
Yeah.
Like, why do you want to do that? I can see the value it's going to provide, but this guy's like the product owner. So it's definitely
Happy medium.
and that's the whole thing with providing value. I think providing value is like the key that's kind of changed my mindset of regardless of what I think is valuable, I need to provide value to the client as a consultant and as an agency or
What they perceive as
boutique.
value.
And if they go, this is valuable, and they're like, we'll pay for that. Okay, cool. I will do everything I can to go. If I think that that's the wrong move, if I think that's going to take longer than they think, or it's not going to provide them value on the other side of it towards their clients or their consumers or whoever, I will do that. But if they still go, okay, cool, this is what we want, that is your job. You are you are using you pay for skill set and knowledge, and
Like,
it's
yeah.
tough because you know you do have a sense of ownership, and especially when you try and work as closely as we do, because we don't want to just be here's this, go build it. We want to be involved in like some business decisions and help you kind of develop that so that it's mutually beneficial for everyone. So you do take a sense of ownership, but you got to realize it's not yours.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, regardless of just ownership, they can't put their egos aside.
Yeah.
That's okay, because guess what? The money's yours.
Yeah. At the end of the day.
The money's yours.
Yeah, we're not.
But I mean,
we're not in
you
for that.
obviously see the value in the product. Like if you take something on, it means you see like this can be something. Just like with Howya, you wouldn't have hopped on, I don't think, in my opinion, unless you saw it was like something that's going to take you further than where it
So-
is now, you know?
Something maybe to take a slight detour, and something that we focus on at Origen is who we're working with, because I fully believe that the ability to code puts you in better position than politics or whatever to actually impact a shitload of people and actually change the world. So if you're selling your time to corporates, that's just like B-rate prostitution, right? You're selling your skill set just so that some big corporate comes to you and says, hey, can you build this for us? Allow us to save millions. We'll pay you for it. And you go, sure. You're compromising yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of consultancies and companies end up doing that because
It's easy cash.
they easy cash. They get too big. It's sometimes like a very small amount of users. So there's less chance of what we spoke about of the scalability issues, right? They know that it's going to be like 10 people using this and they're going to drop 5 million or something on it, right? And we're just not about that. We've worked with corporates. We don't find it fulfilling. It's very much like we want the chicken soup for the soul thing. So all of our clients are
Live, laugh, love.
live, laugh, love code. Of projects that we're passionate about and would endorse. So we try to not be a consultancy that's in the background that just builds it for you and then we never like hear about it. It's we helped Howie build this. We helped this company in the mental health space build that, or in a company that's trying to make improve like hospitals and that type of thing. We're helping them with that. So it's tough because I think a lot of consultancies want to grow for the sake of growth. They want to be international. They want to have 50, 100, 200 employees. And I said this to you guys out there, is like, we don't care about that. Myself and Jonathan want to get to like 8, 9, 10 people. I never want to be at a point where I just have to manage and I can't code, because I love coding and I love being like in both kind of camps right now. And our goal will just be, cool, get to 10. And if there's just a constant like overflow of work, do the best that you can to set up a pipeline, but it also allows you to pick the project. So many companies have to pick the corporate project because it's easy cash. You've got 50 people, you've got 100 people. Okay, cool. I know I can put 10 there for 6 months. That settles those people. Okay, sure. I still got 20 people that if they're not on like a billable project, they're going to cost me 2 million, for a couple of months. So yeah, and that's why being in a position to pick who we work with and kind of decide that when you guys approached, it was like, this is a no-brainer. I see the value in this, especially as a post-COVID thing, as someone who, I'm not like a super going to parties type of person or something, but seeing the effect that COVID had on me and those around me, not being able to go out, that type of thing, and knowing this can be the thing to help get people out there. There's so much value in that. And then releasing it and seeing the first user, never mind the first couple thousand users, like there's value there and it fulfills you. It's not prostitution.
Yeah.
Well, we're still selling time and we're selling value, but there's something behind it that allows you to sleep at night.
I think what you touched on there as well, and it goes back to what you asked about
Guys,
what
we
you
do have to watch that camera's on probably 3 minutes.
But what you look for, just quickly, is communication. I think is probably the biggest thing, and you'll know it because someone that knows what they're talking about will be able to explain what they're doing in layman's terms to you, and someone that has no clue will throw every buzzword under the sun at you, and you'll go, that guy's so smart, and you'll be so impressed. Meanwhile, he's talking bullshit and he's pulling the wool over your eyes and charging you for it. And I think that's what sets it apart.
Let them talk to you on your level. They are smarter than you. They are smarter than you.
Otherwise,
right?
you wouldn't have gone to them in the first place. Yeah.
But I mean, in that area, they know what they are doing, right? They don't need to prove it.
Yeah.
They will talk to you on your level. Like, they will come on your terms and talk on your level, like a mate.
It's also the thing that that I get, because I do all of like the sales calls and I'm meeting with the clients and I want to be involved with that. I think the thing we keep hearing the most is that you guys are super upfront with like what you plan to deliver, when you plan to deliver it, your price and all that type of stuff. Because I think so many people are like playing the game of hiding that, and they go to, okay, we're going to see how much we can make off these guys or that type of thing. And I think if you're in the scenario where you're wanting to build an app and you have some cash to do it, if people aren't being upfront about everything, if you're looking at a 3 to 6 month build or whatever, if they're not answering every question, then they're not the right person for you. Because I don't know, I grew up in a scenario where like, I didn't have a shitload of cash and that type of thing. But if you have even 100K and you're like, I'm going to put this towards the app, me as a person is going to value that and try and give you every possible like line of code that we can for that, because people are passionate about this. And it's easier than ever to build an app. Like the tools have gotten faster. People are able to get funding, and it's just a lot easier. So if you're like huge and you're just trying to shove more people at them than they actually need just because you're trying to save your own company, like it's unhealthy. You could be building the next big thing, but you're not willing to because you're not going to take that smaller project or something.
I've got an app idea.
You can't afford me.
I love it. I want an app that builds apps.
They exist.
You just put it in
quickly.
Okay,
Wrap it up.
They exist. They scare the shit out of me.
Or there's no visuals.
Okay, so where to find you other than on how you're making good things happen?
Origen Software all over the place. I'm very active
Not
on
in the engine room.
that's
Not on the dance floor. There's no tacky squeaking.
no. Origen Software, ORIGEN, because we went for Gen because we market ourselves as the next generation.
Okay, so.
I'm on LinkedIn. That's where I post most frequently. I'm on Instagram. I'm trying to be more prominent there. If anyone has
pictures.
it, yeah.
Did you get those?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're trying to.
We'll put your phone number in the description. You get any business, you call me. My cut.
We'll give you we'll give you a 15% referral.
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming, bro. I'm a complete imbecile when it comes to coding, so you've really enlightened me, and I'm sure you've enlightened a lot of people as well. So thank you.
I
bro.
love these
Appreciate
sessions. Your questions were the best questions. No offense,
They always
guys.
are. No, they always are. No, we leave it. That's his role.
They just turn into like an educate Joss.
If I didn't,
we love it.
If I didn't ask good questions, I wouldn't need a teacher. So, but thank you for coming, bro.
No, I flew up from Cape Town for this.
Yeah.
Just for the podcast.
Just for us.
For the podcast and your launch
Had to
event.
get fucked up. Woo! Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks, boys.
That's it.